Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to check up on the health of Diablo Immortal and talk about the landscape going on. I like to revisit this topic here on the channel every few weeks just to keep you in the loop on the trends in the community and how everything is shaking out. And then I also threw together a chart so we can talk about how Diablo Immortal's launch and the few months after launch compares to some other games that have been big releases recently. We'll talk about if this stuff is alarming, encouraging, exactly what we expected, what the future is going to be, and all of that stuff. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so right here you can see I have got the Google Trends pulled up for Diablo Immortal, and we are looking at YouTube search in the United States. That's what I do, and kind of monitoring the YouTube traffic going on surrounding the game. You can see that it has gone from 100, which was the peak, obviously, right after release. And the game had that early period where it launched. Remember, it was like 1 day early that it launched for mobile devices, and then they had the PC client launch afterwards. Maybe that's why there's a little bit of that sharp incline, and then it levels off and keeps going up. But then the subsequent crash afterwards, and now we are down to about 8 out of 100. So the game on that first push from launch has lost about 90% of the people that were there on launch day or so compared to what it is now. And we'll talk about how that compares to other games in the marketplace that have been big releases soon, so we can figure out if that is alarming or exactly what we expected. Now, we can also go by web search, and it's probably going to be pretty similar, 100 to, yeah, it's about the exact same stats. We can also go worldwide, and then we see, again, about the exact same stats on both web and YouTube video. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. It's all kind of mirroring each other and all pretty much making sense no matter what metric you go by in terms of the different countries and all that type of stuff. So we'll put it back to US 12 month YouTube. This is kind of where we started. But let me also drag this into the picture here, and I threw this together when preparing for this video to try and articulate what some other games looked like on release. Try to make this a little bit bigger for you here, and how it compares to the Diablo Immortal chart. So what I've got here is another Diablo game, the biggest Diablo release besides Diablo Immortal in recent memory. Diablo 3 is a little bit too long ago. It was even before the social media era. This social media era honestly started in like 2014, 2015, where Twitter and all that stuff was insanely popular and everybody on their smartphones constantly. Diablo 3 came out in like 2011, so I don't even think I had a smartphone till like 2011 or 2012. I don't even know if I had a smartphone when Diablo 3 came out, to think about it. But anyway, I'm rambling. But so the biggest Diablo release in recent memory is Diablo 2 Resurrected. And you can see it had about the exact same trend as Diablo Immortal, if not dying even quicker or more steeply than Diablo Immortal. We have a Lost Ark, which is about a perfectly comparable chart to Diablo Immortal. Lost Arks might be slightly better, and it may have stopped the bleeding a little bit sooner. And then New World was honestly probably worse than Diablo Immortal in terms of how it cratered from its peak and leveled off there towards the bottom. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you how Diablo Immortal compares to other games to try to figure out if it's alarming or what we perfectly expected. And honestly, this is kind of what I expected, maybe a little bit worse. I like, ideally the number would have went from like let me trace this out of the way. The number would have went from like 100 to like 15 to 20 ideally. So it has died a little bit worse than I thought it would. I would have hoped this leveled off. Let me pull out the pen. I can draw what I kind of expected it to be. So if you told me to predict before the game comes out, this is 100% predictable. The launch is obviously going to happen. We all know that Diablo is a huge franchise and it's going to be a huge release. Now, what I would have hoped for is the downtrend would have been something like this. Something like that is what I would have hoped for, so that we would have a number on here that is, instead of this being a 7 or an 8, would be up there around 15 or 20. That would be ideal and a little bit more desirable, obviously. And that's kind of what I would have predicted before the game came out. And the reason that a chart like this is predictable and why, you know, someone who's been in the gaming industry for 15 years can kind of guess this is what's going to happen is because games on launch, they're going to have all the big content creators, all the big streamers, all the marketing, and all the people that want to get their hands on that new hot thing. Even people that have no intention of playing Diablo Immortal long term and being part of the Diablo community, they're at least going to try it. They're going to be like, hey, it's a free game. Everybody's talking about it. Why not? I'm going to download it and try it out and see if I like it. And then after a couple hours, they're like, okay, moving on with my life. So that's why games blow up so much right out the gate. And it's just unrealistic to maintain that because the only game that's gonna actually like grow consistently after the launch date is typically going to be a game that's not hyper mainstream, a game that has a relatively small launch and then it more organically grows into its player base. Maybe something like a Path of Exile, where you've got a small team and a grassroots project that really works its way up from the ground to the top floor, instead of Diablo, where it's going to start on the top floor because it's insanely hyped and then slowly kind of fall down from there. And then is this recoverable? Is this sustainable? Can we see this start trending up again instead of right now it looks pretty even for the last month and a half or so. It's not really continuing to crash, and it's also not really growing. We did see a slight bump. You can see here 7 to 8 after this new big update with all the warband, ancestral tableau type stuff. So I do think this can be something that goes back up. We've seen games get it corrected and start to grow again, and I do think that's possible for Diablo Immortal. I think maybe focus less on warband stuff and focus more on some of the really fun content in the game and rounding that out a little bit. I think a nod to the player base would go a long way, like a way to grind gem power or a way to grind more legendary crests or something like that. Something that would really excite people to get in there and play the game, and that number would definitely go up. But we're gonna have to see if the Blizzard team internally can get that bridge to connect and be able to make it go in that direction. But hopefully it will, and we've got about, what is it, a year until Diablo 4 comes out. So I do expect Diablo Immortal to be at least healthy-ish for the next year. And then the really big turning point is going to be when Diablo 4 launches. Is Diablo Immortal still going to have a player base after Diablo 4? We'll see, because we've had games like Diablo 2 where it did maintain a player base after something like Diablo 3 comes out. You have that loyal group of people that are really keeping the Diablo 2 community alive, and it was mostly a healthy, functioning game even after Diablo 3 came out. We'll see if the Diablo 2 Resurrected crowd can still muster up a community and viewership after Diablo 4 launches. If we compare Diablo Immortal to Diablo 2, Diablo 2 Resurrected, okay, and boom, yeah, you can see, I mean, Diablo 2 has stayed pretty healthy. It's like 60% as popular as Diablo Immortal, which is great for a game that's like 25 years old at this point. So, yeah, will Diablo Immortal be able to do the same thing? Probably. It's a big franchise and it's a mobile game. Diablo 4 is not porting over to mobile or anything. So, Diablo Immortal will probably stay reasonable in terms of its player base here for a few years to come. But I would bet that Diablo 4 will cause a little bit of a hit to it. But you know that I'll keep you in the loop here on the channel. We'll keep monitoring it, and we'll always be in the discussion and looking at the numbers and the data and how things compare to other games. That's kind of the stuff that I enjoy doing with my content. So yeah, remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy Diablo Immortal content, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.